Yes, Copper Mountain. The mountain that will forever live in Breckenridge's shadow. The mountain that's alright and everything, but not quite excellent at anything. The only mountain capable of single-handedly backing up I-70 just because of its awful village road system. And of course, lest we forget, it's the mountain that I constantly hear people saying isn't talked about enough. Just take a minute to process that last statement. In the meantime, let's roll the intro. To start, I just want to remind everyone that this video is strictly sarcastic and satirical. I quite enjoy skiing Copper, but as is with any ski area, it has its issues. Please take this as no more than a joke, because that's all that it is. Alright, let's jump in. Let's just go ahead and start this thing off at the lifts. And because I'm writing this video on Christmas Day and I'm especially spirited, let's go lift by lift, rapid fire. Resolution: I resolved not to wither away into dust while I age on the lift. Alpine: great lift aside from the fact I could have served a prison sentence for a class 3 felony in the time I'm sitting on it. Super B: what kind of name is that? Sounds like the nickname of the supreme leader in some preteen dystopian novel. Pitchfork: why would you build a bunny hill with zero skiable connection to any other greens? Just why? Gem: who actually chooses to ride a surface lift when you can ride a chairlift instead? Accelerator: I mean, even ignoring the part where it literally slingshots your unload, can we take a minute to appreciate that the iciest spot across the entirety of a very icy mountain is Accelerator's unload ramp? Oh, and Accelerator is a fantastic lift and not just an annoying extra transit lift, said no one ever. Storm King: Copper has crazy terrain parks, but yet the most entertaining thing to just stop and observe across the whole mountain is tourist snowboarders trying to load a T-bar. American Eagle: I saw a kid about a foot away from getting absolutely clocked by a gondola after falling unloading this lift. And the gondola loading area is so short that it might just be the only gondola I know of that has to deal with falls while loading and unloading, just the same as a chairlift. American Flyer: you upgraded from a quad chairlift, but still didn't manage to make even a dent in lift lines. Oh, and the lift was built so terribly the first time around that you had to come in the next season and add towers so nobody would give themselves chronic traumatic encephalopathy from going straight into low dangling chairs. Rendezvous: the beginner lift that no beginners ride. This lift literally only serves to get to the backside, but is so painfully slow that a majority just opts for the T-bar instead, which is equally painful due to the huge lines it accumulates. Sierra: the lift that all the wannabe show-offs ride. Seriously, half the people riding Sierra think they're some big shot and are hyping themselves up to go eat it on revenge or send it off a whopping 2-foot rock that they'll later describe as a massive cliff to all their friends. Talk about a GoPro magnet. Timberline Express: you've been open to the public for all of about a month now and have already had several mechanical closures. What are the Leitner Poma engineers doing? First Flyer, now this? Woodward Express, formerly known as High Point and then Union Creek. And let's be honest, both of those are infinitely better than naming a lift after a subcontractor that operates at your mountain. You're running a ski mountain, not an advertising firm, sporting event, billboard, or YouTube channel. Kokomo Express: I'm pretty sure the old Kokomo's ride time was equal to this new one's due to all the stops the new lift has. At least the old fixed script discouraged people from trying to go on the big mountain too early in their progression. Lumberjack, also known as Slumberjack to locals. Enough said. Celebrity Ridge: great lift in the 3 days it's open each season. Mountain Chief: I promise you that this name is insensitive to one population or another somehow, someway. Blackjack: honestly, not many complaints, just gets solid lines during powder crazes, but where doesn't? Three Bears: the second best tourist and show-off magnet after the T-bar. You would think an experts-only lift wouldn't have to be constantly stopping due to misloads and unloads, but yet here we are. And this is when it's even running, because that summit wind gets wicked. That ought to do it for the lift, since Copper has talked about an expansion for forever, but we all know that proposal's about as real as the Loch Ness Monster. Interpret that however you wish. Now, one of the most common things you hear heralded about Copper is its naturally divided terrain. Their whole shtick is that everybody on the greens is safe and segregated from the fast, scary expert. Except, what about the Celebrity Ridge terrain flowing onto Soliloquy? The glades flowing into Coppertone? Oh, and the terrain parks flowing onto the Woodward greens? Sure, expert skiers are scary, but trying to teach someone to ski normally alongside a bunch of park skiers who are probably on something stronger than weed? Well, that might just be the only thing worse than driving I-70. On a Sunday afternoon. In a snowstorm. With every alternate closed. Oh, and in a 2004 Prius. And speaking of terrain parks, why is it that at a mountain of over 10,000 skiers, it seems like everything is designed to cater to the 500 park rats there? Copper's management of Lower Main Vein is the second stupidest decision I can think of in the history of the ski industry, right up there behind renaming one of the best resorts out west to frickin' Cliffs Tahoe. For those who don't know, Lower Main Vein is a perfectly wide standard blue, except for the fact that for 98% of the season, 2/3 of its width is taken up by their super pipe. And that remaining third? That is the iciest, busiest ski run I have ever skied. I wish I was exaggerating. Think of it this way. Within a city, you've got dozens of streets you could narrow to make way for a new fire station. Except, for some reason, they chose the interstate of all roads, rather than a much less busy one. And oh, this fire station only services a very, very select population who don't use the interstate themselves. So now the general public suffers. I mean, seriously, I promise you that there is somewhere else they could have built the pipe because it is 100% snow. It's not a feature of the physical terrain. But speaking of which, since they're so set on restricting the artery of the mountain for this stupid park, why don't they just build the structure of the pipe with dirt and then cover it in snow in season like they have in New Zealand? Building it entirely of snow is unbelievably wasteful since it's all artificial snow. For an industry seemingly concerned about climate change, they don't seem to be doing much to help, using thousands upon thousands of gallons of water to build their parks that, again, are only used by a tiny fraction of their visitors. Gotta love capitalism, I guess. On the topic of snowmaking, why is it that Copper snow always seems so frickin' icy? This past December, they had the highest total snowfall of anywhere in Colorado, but every run still felt hard as rocks. Vail didn't feel that way, Keystone didn't, even Eldora had better spots. I'm not sure if it's the overall reliance on artificial or if their artificial is lower quality than at other mountains or what it is, but there's just something about it. Terrain parks, poor snow, lift lines, slow lifts, just the Copper experience. In fact, let's rewind a bit. Let's start at the beginning of your day. First of all, you gotta drive further for Copper than Breck, Keystone, A-Basin, Loveland, Winter Park, and Eldora. Of all those listed, at least one is better than Copper in every category. Okay, maybe they have the best parks, but even that's debatable between them and Winter Park. As you get to Copper, be prepared to slam on the brakes because you might come around a corner to standstill traffic. Yes, all of that traffic is going to Copper. Yes, it is a 2-lane smooth exit that should theoretically flow just fine. No, nobody in Colorado knows how to drive. Yes, that traffic is preventable. No, nobody's going to do anything about it. Yes, when you finally get to Copper, you do get rewarded by free parking, but unlike at Keystone, Loveland, or Winter Park, who have walking distance parking lots, you have to take the stupidest looking buses I've ever seen. This thing looks like an architect, a homeless man, and a politician teamed up to create the most infuriatingly slow, horribly inefficient people mover you've ever seen. And trust me, it is. I got rentals for my friend at Copper one time, and it took over an hour. I know it's not supposed to be lightning quick, but an hour is absolutely unacceptable for a Tuesday in early December. And then after all that, you get to deal with the lift lines. Sound appealing? We already discussed one really bad spot, that being Lower Main Vein, but now let's go over everywhere else that's a problem. They spend the effort to groom a run in the Alpine Pod every other night, and the Alpine lift closes at 4. So when would you think they would rope off the runs for the day? 3:45? Maybe even 3:30? Well, I can't tell you definitively. And I also can't describe how incredibly PO'd I was when I skied up at 3:27 and all 4 trails were already roped off for the day. What in the world, Copper? I get that half of your ski patrollers are drunk and or high college age kids, but seriously? Copper does have 1 or 2 nice options for true shoots up in the Spalding Bowl, if you survive the T-bar up, but it's fairly limited beyond that, with just a few very short options in the Copper Bowl. People seem to like to compare Breck and Copper, but it's honestly not a competition, especially not in double black level terrain. And let's face it, the backside stuff is all overrated. Three Bears has a couple of goalies, but no true shoots. And those goalies attract all those people who just side slip down, destroying the snow for some terrible Instagram video that'll get about 3 likes. Honestly, that's the story for all the Three Bears runs. I'm not wasting any more breath on that. The Copper Bowl, well, that faces straight south, so that ought to tell you enough. Colorado is one of the sunniest states in the union, so when it's not snowing, odds are the snow is rock hard. Those ain't mogul runs, they're pothole parkours. Don't worry, I'm getting to the lower level terrain. Accelerator offers access to a couple short blues, but if you think that these are in any way, shape, or form lappable runs, just take 1 lap on them. If you actually make it down without getting hit by a snowboarder on Ptarmigan or destroying your hips by sliding on Copperopolis's ice, well, have at it, my friend. And as far as the greens go, Lower Roundabout off Kokomo, which is the learning slope, is about as wide as Lower Main Vein and just as busy. I'd rather try and learn with all the idiot park rats than on that mess. You do technically have another option over on Green Acres between the east and center villages, but you'll have to walk back and then take a bus to get to more green terrain, because having a cohesive network is just too easy, I guess. The easy road is anything but easy, considering that half of its length is literally uphill. And Sea and Ski, I'm just not even going there. Now, in order to wind down from all that, I'd like to make one final assertion. Anytime you have to deal with all this crap, just remember that parent company Powder sold off Killington Pico, a great mountain in its own right, and is going to sell off Eldora and Mount Bachelor, two other good mountains, to fund the operation of this crap hole. Yep. A big shout out to Christopher6740 for correctly guessing the mystery clip in 9 tips. If you want to be shouted out in a future video just like this, keep an eye out for mystery runs and guess them in the comments below. As always, please leave any questions down below as well. Thank you all so much for watching. All my love, I'm out.